Okay. Hi, I'm Kat Lykins, and I will be presenting my presentation on accessibility, equity, and promoting pedestrianization within cities. My site supervisor was Gordon Paddleford of Seattle Neighborhood Greenways, and Dania El Saleh was my faculty advisor within the School of International Studies. Little background about Pike Place and my internship is that Pike Place is one of the oldest, largest, and most famous operating markets in the United States. And pedestrianization of Pike Market is an ongoing topic among urban planners, organizers, and city council members, and just residents of Seattle. In that it seems like a logical thing to do, yet it still hasn't happened. And temporary road closures are common in the high season due to cruise ships coming in, a large mass of people rolling up and down the streets, and just it being already too crowded for cars to come in. But despite those temporary road closures, efforts to permanently close the streets to cars have failed. And if you can see on the picture to the right, there's the mix of commercial vehicles, private vehicles, and pedestrians walking along the road. Research question and thesis: how does the potential for pedestrianization in Pike Place relate to issues of accessibility and environmental justice? This question changed quite a bit over the course of my internship, just based on what I observed as I kind of went on. And within that, I found that adequate methods of transportation are required in order for the possibility of pedestrianization to become a reality. Internship, I interned at Seattle Neighborhood Greenways. And within that, I essentially went down to Pike Place with my internship partner, Henry, and we asked market vendors about ways in which the main market street, that main cobblestone street that you see, can be improved. And finished with about 70 interviews, of which I will share a little bit more about in my results section. I also utilized public and university databases to investigate injustice within transportation and accessibility, relating back to my research question and kind of delving deeper into the accessibility of public transportation. And then I also looked into GIS mapping and overlaid different demographics, different areas, different park spaces, and different modes of transportation in terms of where they went in the city of Seattle, and also to Pike Place. Results are, so basically the current problems in Pike Place today, which are kind of making it difficult for it actually be pedestrianized, is obviously there's a lot of congestion due to the mixed pedestrian and vehicle traffic. But there's also need for delivery vehicles and drop-offs that make complete pedestrianization difficult. And several vendors kind of had a bit of trouble envisioning the street without delivery vehicles coming in and out as they please. And another interesting one that I heard a few times was accessibility for disabled. And this can kind of tie in to the issue of transportation, in that if we were to eliminate private vehicles from that main street, how would elderly or those that are disabled be tourists? How would they visit around the market? Research and observations: and while there are several modes of transit to reach public Pike Place without a vehicle, vendors express the importance of punctual, safe transportation while interviewing. And I think this was kind of where I found public transportation to be an overwhelming theme throughout the interview process down at the market. Is there were several vendors who expressed their concerns of why it was not exactly why it wasn't realistic to drive a car down to the market as a market vendor, as somebody who works there, because the cost of the garages is too much compared to what they make down at the market. So most take public transportation or walk. And I heard several concerns about public transportation safety, where bus stops are, how often buses come, especially those that go to South Seattle. That was particularly a theme that I heard. And what was kind of interesting about this that I also observed is that you think of Pike Place as being this large scale tourist destination, and because of that, it's going to be prioritized when coming to accessibility and transportation. The city is going to look at it and say, we need to make this place as presentable as possible, because this is the heart and soul of Seattle, and that this is what a lot of people come to when they're coming visiting Seattle. This is a promotion piece. But despite existing complexities that tie into pedestrianization, most vendors support and are open to the idea of pedestrianization, and that is the graph below. You can see there is overwhelming support. Again, there's those current problems and just kind of concerns that market vendors have about pedestrianization if it were to happen. But for the most part, I think if you can give them something to envision, and if you can show that it's been a possibility in other cities, I think it's really just about kind of painting the picture in their head, making sure they know it's realistic. Implementations or implications. So pedestrians of streets ensures the safety of people, of whom should always be considered the center of a city. Increased and equitable access to public transportation must be met prior to pedestrianization. So here it's kind of this concept that I previously mentioned a little bit more so in my thesis, that if you were wanting to pedestrianize a place, you have to ensure that people have punctual, safe, affordable access to this location, and that's through public transportation. So if you're trying to eliminate private vehicles, which I know a lot of cities are trying to do to center it around the people as it's supposed to, as like urban development within cities was supposed to prior to kind of cars becoming commercialized and normalized, before highways tore cities apart or split cities apart. So that's kind of what I'm pointing to there: an increased and equitable access to public transportation. But I think another thing that's important to mention, it's unlikely for other areas of Seattle to pedestrianize if Pike Place fails to be. And to your right is U District, which offers a bunch of different modes of transportation. Just in this picture alone, you see the bus, some Lime bikes, some Lime scooters, and the distance is the light rail station. Significance is, well, the importance of this research is that potential fixes can be identified, and Seattle is actively working to add methods of transit to access neighborhoods, and injustice within transportation accessibility and the existence of transit deserts is a critical matter that needs to be tackled. So I, for the sake of the poster and presentation, I decided to zone in on Pike Place, but my research, my GIS mapping, I investigated many different articles and analyzed them, and I kind of found how transportation methods differ and are unequal across the city of Seattle. And that's where we get the concept of transit deserts. For example, Rainier Valley is an example of a transit desert. It's majority African American, South Seattle, and the supply of public transit does not meet the demand for it. Acknowledgements, I would just like to thank Gordon Paddleford and all who are fighting to make Seattle a more equitable living environment. I'd also like to acknowledge the Duwamish land, which I and the university reside on. Finally, I want to thank my friends, my internship partner Henry, family, faculty advisor Danielle Saleh, and the POE staff for helping me through a chaotic couple months. Thank you so much.